Oh, well, I'm thrilled you're doing that. It's so wonderful because, Johnny doesn't know we're doing this today. I'll see him tonight and I'll tell him.
Actually, he does.
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't talk about it, but we've been talking about a million other things because we're meeting for the first time in 20 odd months, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, I arranged this with you via Cheryl did it for
Uh-huh.
us. And the thing about that we've been talking about with Johnny all week is how immense, how gargantuan it is that they managed to stay alive
Yeah.
through pure, I mean, they're great at what they do, but it's the whole cocktail. It's the determination, it's the love, it's the passion, it's the absolute need to make sure it stays because so many places have closed down.
Yeah.
And people will come back, but it was about people staying the course until it came back, right?
Yeah.
And Birdland stayed, and not only did they stay, but when we walked in, so much of the staff was the same staff. It's
Mm.
not like people left and went in different places and, went off. The fact that he was able to contain the little family, and we walked in and we were sound checking and there were folks setting up the tables and everybody was still there, and it was such a sigh of relief and such a beautiful feeling, and it really goes to show the loyalty and the love that's there. So
Right.
that's really what we've been talking about for the last 3 days, and just going, wow, this is weird because this is our first time back on stage in 20 months, so it's pretty weird.
This is the first time at Birdland for you
Yeah,
in months.
this is my first time on stage. Jim and I, our first time, our last tour date, we finished in California. We were doing a tour in Feb of 2020. We went to Colombia and then we did a bunch of places on the West. So we were all over the West and we finished up. The last night was, we went from LA to Arizona, back to Colorado. And the next day, that was it. We got COVID
Mm.
and then the lockdown hit and we hadn't left home. So we've been on that walk that you saw in the video.
Yeah.
Um, that that's where we had stayed put between March 2nd, 2020 and 2 days ago.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So and you're back in the Big Apple, the big city, the big New York, on stage at Birdland. How cool.
Yeah.
It's got to be a little bit of like a shock, right? Not like a location shock, just all the people again in the city and being
Such a shock. We drove here. We were actually in Virginia right before here, and we drove here. And it was just that. It was stunning. It was great. It was exhilarating. The adrenaline was off the chart, but it was just a shock. And it still kind of is. The other thing is you have to get used to, as much as you play at home, we play all the time. I mean, that's what we do. We work on our music at home, but you're doing it in your own little box, in your own little four walls, and there's nobody else there. We did a couple of festivals online. We did one with Marcus Valle down in Brazil online. We worked with Art Hirahara, our pianist, who we're touring with right now, online. But it's not the same as being connected to people. And we live such a rural, out of the way life anyway. That's our lifestyle when we're off the road. So, I mean, it was a great way to spend the pandemic because you could feel we didn't feel locked up, if you know what I mean. We were very lucky in that. But we were away from human beings for so long that this really is a shock. And we were concerned about what I was saying about playing at home is as much as you play at home, it's not the same as having the kind of experience of the gig stamina. And there's nothing you can do to work on being match fit except by being in the match.
right.
That part was daunting, how to sustain that level of being in the zone and concentrating for that amount of time